Who cares? It's a podcast. Welcome to the podcast.
Bryan Singer, double feature.
Good evening.
Brain the size of a what, Damien? Brain the size of a what?
A planet.
Brain the size of a brain. And you're making me do this. Damien, what do you think about The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by everybody's favourite dead author, Douglas Adams?
Sorry, you fudged that. You might have to do another read. You know full well it's Douglas.
By the dude, by the man himself, Douglas Adams, who famously wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy when he was about 14, and became incredibly. He wrote it very young, and he became incredibly famous because of it. And then I think grew to resent it incredibly.
Really, I had no idea about that.
In So Long and Thanks for All the Fish, where he says Arthur Dent went to bed and he had a good night's sleep, and then he woke up. Then Douglas Adams writes, "If I was a hack, I would write that Arthur Dent went to bed and then he got up 3 times in the middle of the night, and it was very cold in the bathroom and he couldn't get back to sleep, and this and this and this." And he explains what he would do if he was a hack. And the reason is because Douglas Adams, and I'm not really doing him a disservice here, he fucking hated writing. And I think the guy had fantastic ideas, but you can tell he hated writing. Not in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but in the books he had to do afterwards. It's just... Oh, I feel for him. It isn't even like, you hack, Douglas Adams. It's like, oh, you poor man. Because reading them, it's weird. It's watching somebody descend.
I got through the first 2, but
Damien, this is the Poetry Club. What are you doing on the Poetry Club podcast?
So were you going to go, or was I going to try and fail miserably?
That's what this podcast needs. It needs both of us saying, blah, 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 blah. It's your turn to go. Well, in response to your blah, 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 I blah, 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 blah.
Well,
Your turn.
We were talking off air and about how fucking shattered I am and really fucking not pumped to do this. And you say you offer that format as a joke, but for me that is really enticing, because I know I can do that right now.
Well, that's the April Fool's episode, where it is an hour of us literally going blah 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 blah, because we were going to film ourselves playing worms and going, oh shit, but that takes effort. Wow, you can really get the roll on the shit there. Shit. Oh shit.
Well, we workshopped that for hours. We got it down. We got it down pat.
Oh, why did I never press the record button? But yes, I think that Douglas Adams is someone who had great ideas and ended up accidentally writing this much beloved book that people wanted more and more of. I'm not saying that the stuff he wrote after The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, all the sequels, I'm not saying that they're dreadful. I do remember they become more and more, not padded, because he becomes more indifferent to them, I think. Maybe indifferent's the wrong word. I don't know. He just doesn't want to write them anymore. More and more, more and more, because you've got The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and it's this diamond of genuine British eccentricity and funniness. And then The Restaurant at the End of the Universe is like that, but it's a bit diluted. And then you get to the point where you get Mostly Harmless, which is the 5th book, and it's almost like it's a completely different novel, but it happens to use some of the same words.
That makes sense. I mean, as I was saying, I think I read the first 2 books, and I will have read them once. I'm not a widely read person, but it was one of the few books I showed interest in reading, because I'd watched the TV show prior. There was an adaptation, I believe, the 80s, which I really loved.
I really loved that as well, and I remember it now, and I remember the fucking walls of the spaceship wobbling because they were made out of cardboard. and stuff like that. But it was great.
The Beeblebrox head was fucking superb. I remember getting the DVD.
At least they did it. At least they did it.
Yes, yeah.
The Beeblebrox head, and it's like, my God, you didn't even let the papier-mâché set.
Yeah, it's not. So I had this DVD that had the special features, right? And one of them, it talks about like the special effects.
It had
and
what?
It has
had what features?
Double feature.
Ooh, special features. One day I'm going to make a documentary about Bryan Singer, and it's going to bring down Hollywood.
You have to explain what's going on there, because I might have missed the boat on whatever this little jingle is. Am I expected to know? Should I be hanging my head in shame?
It's the jingle from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh fucking hell! I haven't seen that in fucking years. I can't be expected to remember that.
Bryan Singer has no connection to it. I'm just I don't know. His name fit, and I just like saying the names of, well, I suppose people who pay young out loud. It's just funny. Kevin Spacey.
He didn't pay.
He didn't pay for anything. No, Bryan Singer did nothing wrong. I mean, morally, yeah. Well, I mean, coercion.
Look, there was
he didn't
some.
grab anybody's front bottom, did he?
There was an exchange, right? So these people were complicit. There was some degree of consensuality. So he can't be brought to bear on the same level as Mr. Spacey, I think is what we're trying to say. Is that what we're trying to say? I think that's what we're trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, there were special features on this DVD. Fuck it, I won't bother.
Type Bryan Singer into Google. Bryan Singer Wikipedia, Bryan Singer IMDb, and then the next three are Bryan Singer's sexual assault timeline, that comes twice, and then Bryan Singer's teen ex-lover reveals life in director's orbit, and then Bryan Singer, X-Men director, because this is where all of this happened, on the X-Men, is accused of sexual assault. Let me just let me stop beating around the bush. We mentioned Bryan Singer before. Bryan Singer has a lot of fucking baggage, but I don't know anything about him assaulting anyone. Could have happened. I hope it didn't happen. Could have happened. But I've heard from so many people about the shit he gets up to. Not that it's illegal necessarily, but I guess what I'm saying is if you're 50 years old and you say to someone who's 20, I can help you in the very competitive industry you're trying to enter if you suck my cock. I think what I'm saying is I don't think that is illegal, and I don't think that you can really legislate to stop that happening. But I think it's grim.
Okay,
and Bryan Singer did that. I mean, I can't prove it.
I love how you follow that up immediately. Can't prove it, but
come on. I'm not saying he definitely did, but he did. Oh man, he had massive orgies, and he's married to a woman.
Are you sure? You said there was a Michelle, but maybe that's just a fruity pronunciation.
Yeah, thank God he's married to Michelle. Michelle's the one who keeps him in line. Michelle's like, no, Bryan, you cannot be bending over any young boys. We have logs to chop.
Betwixt our cheeks.
Is he married? Is he married? Tell me, Wikipedia, is he married? You fucking...
I'm enjoying this. This is a real descent into madness here.
Yeah.
You're starting to have a real crisis here. It's absolutely fascinating to listen to.
I just think that the description on Wikipedia is amazing. I'll read it out in a minute. I just want to find out if he is married first.
Verify your sources, of course, naturally. This is, quality journalism.
Okay, so Michelle Clooney. Okay, so it says on Wikipedia, Bryan Singer's partner from 2014 is Michelle Clooney. All right? I assume she's Martin Clunes's younger, less talented, and also spelt differently in the name sister. It says here, in the Michelle Clooney Wikipedia, Clooney gave birth to Dashiell Julius William Clooney Singer. The child's father is Bryan Singer, her close friend. I don't know, do you need to put that? I don't think I've ever read on somebody's Wikipedia page that, somebody's child's father is their close friend.
This whole area is a minefield.
Bryan Singer has said that he is openly sexual, and he's said in the past that growing up Jewish and in a sexual minority has influenced his movies. Influenced to the point, Damien, where he surrounds himself with sexually available men.
So special features, right? I mean, this is such an anticlimax. I really don't want to fucking bother.
What do you mean?
Oh, the thing that I was trying to slog through, we're talking about Zaphod Beeblebrox, a TV show. On this DVD, they had special features, and it had like this kind of subcategory, and it was talking about all like the special effects and like the art design in it. And they were broken up into these obviously little bits, and one was just for the head of Zaphod Beeblebrox. And these guys are talking about it, and they explained what was in the head. You know, there was some kind of, there were actual mechanisms in it, and they were kind of remote controlled.
But they were all defunct.
You have these engineers, and they were talking about it with like the utmost fucking affection. They were really proud of it.
I thought it was completely inanimate.
Well, they talk about it. It was capable of this, and this, and I remember watching, going, "Oh, right, okay," because I don't remember seeing that. And then you see the head like does
it doesn't
it speaks like once when you meet him on the ship, and then he just says go back to sleep, and that's him. That's that head for the rest of the fucking show.
What they should have done though is they should have made it so it went completely to sleep, and it was on a latex neck, so it's no matter where he goes, it's just like lolloping around everywhere. Like it's always hitting him in the face and stuff. And because it's latex as well, it gets really long. It gets to the point where it's just like hanging down by his nipple.
With each, preceding episode, they fill it up with more water.
It gets to the point where he can't. He has to walk like sideways through doors because he's so fat.
He's there like shuffling it in front of him on a wheelbarrow.
Well, for some reason, now I've got Bryan Singer in my head. I thought I would like to make a biopic about Kirk Douglas one day and really get across why he was so attractive back in his day. You could have a silhouette of him. So it's just Kirk Douglas's silhouette, and it could be, ooh, Mr. Douglas. Silhouette turns into, you can see everything on him. You can see his amazing double chin. And as soon as you see his double chin, well, not his double chin, his
chin dimple.
His chin dimple. His chimple. As soon as you see his chimple, the chorus kicks in with, ooh, special features.
It's a real tight close-up of just the chin.
But now I'm thinking it should have been that for the fucking Hitchhikers movie, and it should have been Zaphod Beeblebrox. Ooh, two heads. Because it's the most underwhelming thing in both the TV show and the movie. Like, they should have written it out. It worked in the book because it's a book. But someone should have said, by the way, I wanted to ask you, Mr. Producer, this TV show we're doing, does it have a massive budget, or is it a really cheap, flimsy piece of shit? Oh, it is. Then maybe we shouldn't have two heads on this person. Do you know what I mean? It was a bad idea, right? On
yes,
the show?
Yes and no. I don't know. I mean, it's when I watched it, it was kind of part of the charm, really.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I know that they were talking about changing it so it was like a head in his pocket or something.
Oh, really?
Like
okay.
they were talking about, for the TV show, they were talking about changing it so that it could be a disembodied thing, so he could take the head out, and that would be easier to do.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I remember the movie that they did.
The movie, they did it wrong as well.
Yeah, it kind of, his head would like snap back like a Pez dispenser, and like another one would emerge or something like that. I seem to remember. I might have that wrong.
No,
that was really lame.
That's right, and that's one of the ideas they toyed with for the TV show, I think.
Right. Okay.
Was doing it like that, where it was one head on top of the other. No, I'm just saying that I think they should have just gotten rid of it, or, well, the movie they could have done it. But I never thought in the book it really added anything anyway. It was just like, this is wacky, and Zaphod Beeblebrox has two heads, and it doesn't really matter because it's a book, and you're not kind of constantly reminded that this person has two heads. Like Zaphod Beeblebrox, he's a nut job, right? This sort of rock star figure. I wouldn't really kind of
the head that that kind of like charmingly bad design after these guys talked with it with kind of respect, affection and pride. I don't know. It soured it considerably, particularly his entrance, and they animate it just a little bit, and it's trying to talk, and it's got this kind of dullard voice, and I don't know. It's like, yeah, we fucking nailed it. Just go back to sleep.
Just go back to sleep. Yes, that's good enough. Oh, well, I mean, so they didn't acknowledge that it was, a barely functioning piece of cardboard then?
I don't know. I guess these guys were really, really trying hard, and they were just like dying a death on the inside, really, when it just wasn't happening. But I really do think they poured so much into it, and they had much bigger ideas that they just weren't feasible. Like, they got to the fucking set, and they fucking put it in front of the camera for the first time. All right, it's go time, people. Okay, you got your little, you got the control. All right, you've got the cues. All right, here we go. And it just fucking does nothing remotely fucking useful.
What they should have done.
All right, cut.
Yeah, right. Well, what they should have done for the film is they should have come out with this film and said, we got a lot of unknowns to be in this, which they did, apart from Martin Freeman. They should have said rather than, we got a lot of unknowns because it's a piece of shit and we don't care about the movie, which is what I think the movie's crap.
Yeah, I'm on the same page.
We'll talk more about that in a minute. But they should have said, we got a lot of unknowns and we did it cheap because this is the only film where the biggest department wasn't CGI, it wasn't the camera crew, we weren't paying the actors as much as we were paying Rob Bottin. We got him back just for this, just to do the head, and we gave him like $80 million.
Oh,
and
fuck yeah.
Every fucking scene it should have been a different head.
But it was like growing out the eye sockets.
Oh, and it's all practical, yeah. What do you think about the movie from a few years back? Obviously, obviously we said it was shit. So okay, let's move on.
Well, they say a few years back. It's got to be over a decade at this point.
Oh yeah,
I would say so. Yeah, it's got to be. I can't remember. Let me just have a quick look.
Maybe one of us should look it up.
Nah, fuck it. I mean, I don't suppose the actual year is really relevant. I'm kind of just curious.
I've got 4 tabs open, and they're all about Bryan Singer.
2005.
Okay.
I remember kind of fuck all about it. The only thing that I really remember is that the ending was just so fucking out of whack from whatever the book and the TV show was. It's like, what on earth was going on here?
I think a problem with the book, well, clearly, going back to Douglas Adams, and I'm not trying to belittle him or anything, because I do think he was, extremely creative. But I like I said, I don't think he really enjoyed writing, and the book doesn't really have a story apart from Arthur Dent has to get out of Earth. Once that's happened, it's more just, and then this happened, and this happened, and the galaxy works like this, and it's kind of interesting just for that. But I couldn't, I've read all of the other books that came after that, which follow Arthur Dent, and I couldn't tell you anything that happens other than he gets dragged along for the ride.
And he's kind of bemused the whole time.
He's in a dressing gown. Yeah, that's kind of it. And
I couldn't fucking tell you. I've all seen this like 12, 13 years ago, really. Yeah. And I never felt the need to ever see it again.
I watched some of it before doing this, and
prep.
Yeah,
very good.
Some of it. I mean, I was doing other things, but one thing you might have forgotten was Stephen Fry is the voice of the book.
I had forgotten that.
Yeah, and I just that tells you everything. What that tells me immediately is that this was made to be a British, eccentric, Monty Python-esque, aren't we wacky, aren't we quaint film. And the original book was never that. It was all of those things, but that was because that's who Douglas Adams was, and because that's the way he wrote it. Whereas the film is really trying to be very British. and I can't watch it without kind of putting my hands over my face and thinking, Christ. Honestly, right? It's like if I was Italian and they'd made an Italian film and it was all like, hey, Giuseppe, what the hell are you doing over there? Ah, what are you doing? I'm eating here. It's like that to me. It's just like fucking hell. And I think that, I think Bill Nighy, Bill. I think that Stephen Fry, the choice of Stephen Fry, like, it's not like I dislike Stephen Fry or anything. I just think that they chose him because he's a very recognizable and beloved. His voice is very recognizable and he is much loved by people, but it wasn't the right voice. The voice in the original TV show, this voice that had a bit of dirt on it, was the right voice. It needed to be the voice of an older but also sort of smoky man. It needed to be a tiny bit sort of like, I told you.
I know the movie definitely suffered from the fact, I think a lot of the, not 100% the casting in the TV show, but a lot of it was kind of perfect. I really, really liked Simon Jones. But I remember Peter Jones in particular, the voice of the book, I thought was
perfect.
Was absolutely perfect. It's one of those things that absolutely made it for me. And you're kind of on the back foot, really, because you can't. It's difficult to kind of replicate something like that, or you faced with the question of do you? But I think they tried to replicate the wrong aspects of it, as I think is.
What I'm
I
saying,
think they were trying to replicate the wrong aspects of it, which is what I think you were trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do you think that they should have tried to replicate then? Because I understand why they made it sort of super. Oh, we drink tea in the face of mortal destruction. I get why they made it like that because it's obvious. But what should they have done?
Well, I mean,
made it funny. Made it not shit.
But I would have dispensed with the whole project entirely.
I'd have killed myself.
Well, I really liked the TV show. I didn't kind of need any more. If I needed kind of more of it, I would just kind of watch it again. Really, I haven't seen it in years, and I'd be very surprised if it didn't deliver if I watched it again.
Yeah,
and I definitely didn't need a modern movie adaptation. That's a very clinical fucking adaptation.
It's a very clinical adaptation. I think clinical is a good word.
I don't know. It's designed to, I guess, appease fans to a degree, but then it obviously has to kind of play outside of England as well. So you've got Mos Def in there for some fucking reason, and was it Zooey Deschanel for some fucking reason,
and Bill Nighy
for some fucking reason.
Yeah, and John Malkovich. If you're gonna get John Malkovich, John Malkovich is the only. I can't remember.
Let me get that back. I'm making the mistake of shutting the page down.
I've had enough of this. He's Homer Kavula. I'd sooner watch Con Air than fucking The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy from 2005.
You say that like kind of
begrudgingly. Like Con Air is a bad thing.
Yeah, I would chow down on Con Air right now.
I'd stuff it up. I'd shove it up my arse. If I had to shove a film up my arse, it would be Con Air. Do you know that John Malkovich has never seen Con Air?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he refuses to watch it. Everywhere he goes, fucking Nick Cage is coming up to him. He's like, "Hey, John, have you seen our film?"
Like, we said, "Hey, John," that was almost like a passable impression, but your follow-up just sounds like you're from Yorkshire. Have you seen our film?
Have you seen our film? I was wondering if you wanted to change faces.
Because that's all Nick Cage does these days. He just jumps on people's chests and tries to peel their fucking skin off.
Well, I mean, anything else though that you think that they should have done differently? I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. We say that they didn't do it very well, but
oh yes, I've forgotten that when we first pitched this podcast, it was going to be how do we improve these movies. I don't suppose we've ever done that.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't that, was it? I'm pretty sure it was just like we'll talk about a movie that doesn't exist like we're going to make it. Wasn't it? I don't know. Who cares? I'm pretty sure there fucking was no premise to this podcast. It was It was like we're going to have a tiny pretense like everyone else has, but really it's just us talking shit, and you will fucking like it or you will not listen to it. Is that understood?
But of course, please do like, comment, and subscribe, and check out our
don't
Patreon
bother.
page.
Don't bother. Yeah, do you know what? As well, it doesn't make the film bad or anything, but I knew someone who worked with Bill Nighy once, or on something he was doing, and they told me that Bill Nighy is $250,000 a week, no matter what the project is, no matter what, and you can call up his agent and say, well, we're making a remake of The Matrix, and it's going to make $1 billion, and we can't pay him $250,000 now. We can only pay him $240,000, but once the film's complete, we'll give him $100 million. No, $250,000 every week, no matter what, right? And I can't watch anything with Bill Nighy without thinking $250,000, $250,000, $250,000, hack, $250,000, $250,000, $250,000, hack, can't act. $250,000, $250,000.
Yeah, you told me that years ago, and yeah, I'd always kind of thought exactly the same fucking thing. What on earth are these people fucking paying for? I don't understand. Yeah, why he has that kind of that kind of clout. How on earth do you get to a point where you can simply demand that and people fucking knuckle under it?
Yeah,
it's just like
listen.
It has to be $250,000. Fuck off. Absolutely fuck off. No way.
But let's just leave the idea of kind of Bill Nighy behind. It's Slarty Bartfast. Just get anyone. It doesn't matter. I mean, he didn't act well. He didn't bring anything to Slarty Bartfast. He's a fucking old. The character is he's an old guy who, is kind of out of it a bit. Anyone can do that. And no one's going to go to the cinema and come out and be like, that was really good. I will definitely go and see a sequel. Except they got an unknown actor to do Slarty Bartfast. What's that about? They should have clearly got Bill Nighy. It was perfect for them.
That was a role that was screaming for fucking £250,000 worth of polish.
I don't know. I imagine he would have squeezed 2 weeks out of it.
Oh yeah, but by that you mean like fucking 7 days and like 12 hours worth of fucking work, right?
How long would it take him to do that? A couple of days, really. It all looked lazy. Like none of it was visual.
But that you can say that of any of his performances. Really, he just kind of stands there shambling.
I didn't mean him. I meant the film. Oh, so did you? We're just talking. Yeah. My favourite film is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He is a film about a group of people who have to leave the Earth.
No, yeah.
We should refer to films like they're battleships. She was doing fine, but then she hit the third act, and Damien, she went under faster than the Titanic. She was taking on water before we'd even started. I saw the word Bill. I saw the word Nighy. I knew that this ship was going to capsize.
I think there should be some choice sound design in this show. A nice little bit of like Clint Mansell, just ever so a nice bit of Clint Mansell, ever so slightly in the background. It's slowly kind of amping up as the show progresses. As you seem to descend further and further into madness.
Double feature.
Clearly taking on board anything that I'm saying right now. I may as well not be fucking here.
Well, that's the formula.
No, I mean, be that as it may, I have every fear that after we finish this, you're still going to be in your little corner, just going $250,000, $250,000, $250 a week.
Helen Mirren is voice of deep thought. You die.
You hasn't heard of.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that there was an opportunity here for interesting casting, and Zooey Deschanel.
Zooey.
Hey, we've had a burn, Damien. I know what I fucking like. I like animal enclosures. What shall we name our kid?
Yeah. Agreed.
How many children do you have to have before you get down to Moss as a name for kids? Like, I was thinking we could call our baby Sebastian. Listen, we've got 4 kids and they've all got 3 syllables in their names. How about Moss? How about How about Oi?
How about shit lips?
Too long. Just shit or lips.
Fuck.
But not.
How about fuck?
Fuck. Well, go away or piss off. They're the names of the kids.
So fuckface is definitely out of the running.
In fairness to Moss Def, that's not his real name. His real name is Moss Highly Definition.
Moss 4.6K.
It's not 4K, it's 4.6K. That extra sensor gives me a lot of fucking move around.
Yeah, that's worth, the fucking $2,000 alone. Extra $2,000. Bringing you up to $250,000.
Do you have any recollection of the books at all? I mean, did you enjoy them? Or you're not a big reader, I know, but do you have any? Do you remember them?
I remember I used to read it at school, like during some of our fucking shitty English lessons where we just like, here's an hour of silent reading, you bastards.
I'll do my nails. I mean, the teacher, basically, yeah. The teacher breaks out a copy of Hello.
Yeah, that was exactly it. But there'll be, I'd obviously, my experience was with the TV show first and foremost. So there were certain passages that were obviously lifted straight from the book, and I enjoyed those the most because obviously as I'm slogging through, I can hear it, exactly in Peter Jones's voice, and I've just fucking chuckled to myself. I've really, really, really enjoyed that.
Well, the radio drama is even better.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've never got around to it.
That's where it starts, I think.
And that's Peter Jones as well, right?
Yes, it's all read. It's there's two. You can buy someone just reading the book, but the actual radio drama is all the voices. Mm-hmm. And do you know what? It's better because it just suits that format better. It's very much kind of centered on these voices bouncing off each other, and then a jingle, and then a computer says something, and you can convey that a computer is saying it very quickly, through the medium of audio. It's just good. It just works really well.
I'd always said that. I know I have. I was given a copy, but it was on cassette, and at that point I never had anything to play it on. And so it just kind of gathered dust. I'm sure I've still got it somewhere, and I've never listened to it in I would suppose the 15 or so years that I've had it. It's almost sacrilege, I suppose, but yeah, maybe one day.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's where it all comes from. So, I don't know. I think it's things are just usually better there, aren't they? Before they're adapted and made to fit.
Oh, well, that was a lot. That was a lot of scorn there. Make it fit. But I think
one last budding actor into some sort of cavity belonging to a famous director.
And it's now time for special features. We'll workshop that jingle. We'll get some
prophylactics.
We'll do some proper recording and production on it.
So what would your advice be, Damien, to a hitchhiker who's coming to Earth for the first time? Fuck off!
Mind out for the crackheads. Keep your distance.
If you go into a cheap eatery where 5 people are behind the counter who all look like they could be not only related but probably brothers, get out. or at least put garlic sauce on everything.
If you can see they're wearing aprons, make them turn around to check if they're actually wearing trousers. This is a real threat.
Get your face right in there as well. Don't be afraid to give an inspection or two.
When prompted for rubber gloves, they are obliged to provide them. So you can remain hygienic during the proceedings.
No matter where you go, if you're in a cheap eatery or anywhere, they will always serve chips. They will always serve fries, and if they don't, it's just a game they're playing. It just means you've got to ask again and again and again until you get them.
You have to play a game of hide the chips.
The reason that they never made the Restaurant at the End of the Universe was it doesn't look like it made a lot of money.
Yeah, I think you were touching on that earlier, and I was going to say, yeah, I would not be surprised if this bombed, which I think it It does, it did by what you're telling me.
Well, its budget was, it says, about 50 million. It made 104 million at the box office. I mean, that's pretty crap. But I mean, its P&A will have been what, like 20, 25 million on top of that, probably, because it did have quite a big marketing campaign, as I seem to remember. I mean, the P&A might have been 50 million. They might have made nothing on it. I could totally see that.
As we've been talking about, it's kind of been a movie that's kind of like stuck between two very kind of different audiences, really. I'm not surprised no one really gave a shit about it.
Yeah, because I imagine a lot of people who, knew The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy the first time round or the second time round, like, you and I, where we discovered it at school. I mean, even I wasn't that bothered about the film. And I imagine if you listened to the radio show when it came out, and then you looked at what the film was, you looked at the way they marketed it, you looked at the trailer, you'd just think, well, it looks like it's for children.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that they should have made, a fucking grittier Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I guess I'm just saying what you were saying, and just don't do it.
Just get Nolan to do it and really fucking siphon all joy out of it.
Which, incidentally, is exactly why our podcast moved from how to make these films better to us talking utter shit, because it became very apparent very quickly that the answer always is, don't do it. The idea is fundamentally flawed. It comes from a place completely of greed. There is no artistic integrity to this. If there was, it wouldn't help anyway. You shouldn't have done it. That's what we concluded with everything, right? Terminator Genesis. There's no way to make it good. It's a bad idea.
It's shit. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Rambo, a remake with a different actor. Don't do it. It's a bad idea. Doctor Who the movie. I don't care.
Well, Doctor Who the TV show. I don't fucking care either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's right. Come get me.
I've come to bargain.
What's that? Did something unsightly drop out of your ass there?
I'm sorry, what?
The noise you were like, ugh.
Oh, no. Fucking hell. Do you know what it is as well?
What is it?
Bryan Singer.
And that kind of answers a few questions.
I'm making a movie.
Is that your impression?
No, that's my impression of someone who thinks they're gonna make it big because they've just let Bryan Singer fuck them. All right, well let's take this angle. How would you have made Marvin the paranoid android? Because I thought the design was kind of bad. I thought the design in the TV show wasn't great because it clearly gave the actor very limited movements, but I thought it was much better than in the film. The film, to me, the design seemed to be the epitome of what the film was, and that is lazy, let's make it quirky because that's easy to do. Oh, he says his brain is the size of a planet. We better make his head really big then.
Yeah, because I always remember the look on the face was kind of just was like aloof. I guess I got miserable from it. It was just kind of more
But it looks like a Japanese toy. It looks like a toy. It doesn't look like a fucking android. I mean, it doesn't look like a working robot, is what I'm saying. This is the robot they use for, like I guess for like cleaning the fucking shutter doors and stuff. They give him all this like remedial shit to do, even though he's really clever. I mean, why not just make a better looking robot than this thing that clearly Warwick Davis can't keep the fucking head still.
That's something that I've just discovered scrolling through IMDb, that he was the tiny man inside.
I mean, why do you even need a tiny man inside? Why doesn't it looked like it was a normal size?
Why couldn't it have been entirely CG? That's how you'd fucking improve it.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, make it entirely obvious that it's not actually there whatsoever.
I mean, it's not just CG as well. It's like got 3 colors.
It's polygons, man.
It's polygons, yeah. I don't know. I watched Leprechaun the other day.
Oh, tell me about that.
Stars Warwick Davis.
Hang on,
in his meatiest acting role to date.
Warwick Davis and Jennifer Aniston in.
Yeah, she's actually pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
I quite like Jennifer Aniston. I think she has a pretty good sense of humour, yeah. I mean, she's in that South Park episode, isn't she, from season 2?
I suppose so, yeah.
Well, let me put it this way. She's the best thing in that.
Oh, yeah?
It's not Warwick Davis. Have you ever seen anything that Warwick Davis is good in?
I kind of want to say, what was it? Was it Life's Too Short? But I wouldn't even...
That was terrible.
Yeah. I was going to... He didn't let me finish. I was going to say
sorry.
Even so, that was kind of... Yeah.
Yeah, and you know why it was terrible?
Go on.
Because Warwick Davis can't act.
So this episode has been a who's who just plain can't act. Stephen Fry.
Bill Nighy can act. He's just a hack. All right? Stephen Fry can't act, but he's a raconteur. Warwick Davis is someone who has a niche. That's why all these people exist, right? There is a reason, but it's not because they're good.
Fair enough.
Bryan Singer, Predator.
And that's how you're going to tie off this episode, right? I mean, Bill Nye in particular is shit.
Yeah, you think that?
Yeah, well, I've always, since you told me that that little factoid about him, I've always kind of had my I've always had my backup, and yeah, he's always kind of had these kind of smaller roles where he just kind of stands there being fucking miserable. I've never seen him do anything interesting. I mean, when did he come into prominence, and for what reason? As I've only known him as in kind of old shambling roles.
He came into prominence when people would say, "Oh, the guy who's auditioning for the next role, I think it's that science guy." And the director would be like, "Oh, well, we'll definitely."
Oh
see
my
him.
God!
Have you ever done any hitchhiking?
Well, I mean, there's just no environment for it in England, right? If you were just kind of out there with sticking your thumb, they'd be like, "Well, this is fucking England. It's tiny. Just fucking walk there, you lazy fuck."
It was good enough for the Romans.
There's public transport everywhere you go. There's absolutely no excuse to try and get into a stranger's vehicle.
You've got no money, I guess. Yeah, I think it's more of a European. Well, it was, wasn't it? I don't think people do it very much now, but yeah, I mean, you can't just stand by the fucking side of the motorway with your thumb out, can you?
You'd lose your fucking thumb.
Exeter! I'm going to Exeter! I'm not going to Exeter. Get in, though.
It's like you're slowly ambling up the M1. Someone actually pulls up. They'd report the next day there's a 42-car pileup when this guy climbed into this vehicle.
Yeah, because they can't stop either. That's the rule on British roads on the motorway. Like you can pick up a hitchhiker on the motorway, but you can't go under 4 miles an hour. You can stop, but they're gonna have to run by the car and throw their bag on and everything, like it's a train.
There have been a spate of thefts on the M1 where these backpackers lose their luggage.
It's got to be unsafe, right?
What, trying to jump into a moving vehicle? I would say yes.
Yeah, but also trying to just jump into a random vehicle, like an unlicensed sort of vehicle.
Oh yeah, no, I would never opt for hitchhiking. Fuck that.
Or for picking up a hitchhiker.
Yeah, that can fuck off with a bag of dicks as well.
Yeah. So I guess that's the conclusion. Fuck off.
Like everything. Just don't do it.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
The only winning move is not to play.
So the last ever episode of this has to be War Games.
It's like, Damien, would you have made War Games? No.
Yeah, actually, seriously, I watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off last night. Speaking of Matthew Broderick, 'cause he was in War Games, right? And I watched it and I thought, this is jolly good fun. This is a lot of fun for the time. But do you know what would make it better, Damien? Seriously.
Go on.
If they'd not made it.
Okay.
Because it's not very good. Do you know what it is, though, Damien? Unlike every other film from the 80s, it's a fucking time capsule.
I see.
How do you say capsule? Do you say capsule or capsule? Why don't you let us know on comments? I definitely read the comments, and I'll be very sure to read yours. Thanks very much. See you next time.
There's just going to be a spate of comments where they just type out capsule. It's absolutely redundant. Oh, that was the joke.
Yeah, but the twist is they do it in 3 brackets.
Capsule.
Well, what do you want to do next time? Why don't we do Missy Doubtfire?
Oh yes, we had. Yeah, you floated that to me. That'll be good fun.
It is fun,
Or not.
And it's insane. I like Robin Williams. I think he's a very fun comedic actor, and he's really good in it. But the reason to watch it is it's about a psychopath. I have kids who when they were smaller they couldn't see me because I was estranged from their mom. So I adopted a different personality and pretended to be that person for a while.
They weren't even my kids.
Really fucked them up.
They weren't even my kids. This was about power. I just wanted to be right there, and right there in front of them. They had no idea what they were looking at. At any point, I could just flip the fucking switch and they'd be gone.
They didn't work out that it was me for a while, but they always knew that I was a man. I was dressed as a woman, but from the very first moment, from the moment I walked into the house, they knew I was a man. Not their dad, but a man. That was very fucking clear. I made that clear. I'm a man dressed as a woman.
You know that's unheard of.
Let me look after you. Yeah, well, all right. Thanks very much for listening.
You're very welcome.
No problem. See you next week, Damien.
See you next week.
And Bryan.
Bryan Singer will build a singer. See Bryan fighting. Bryan Singer.